Hey, how's it going? This is the On the Break podcast. I'm John with
I'm
my boy
Joel.
Joel. Oh,
Yep,
that works too. Yeah.
that
Uh,
does work.
we're just two guys talking about sports. Let's just get straight into it. Forget the long-winded
No wasting
introduction.
time here.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about the NFL and the NBA today, and we're just gonna get straight into it. Jamal Adams has demanded a trade from the New York Jets, and I'm not surprised because the Jets, this is just another Jets thing. But
Jets move. It's a Jets
yeah,
move.
I mean, the big thing I was surprised about was that Adam Gase was one of the main reasons that he is asking for a trade.
Yeah,
Obviously, the contract is big, but he said, "I hate my coach. Get me out of here." That was the
yeah.
big thing.
People were talking down to him when he got the coaching job with the Jets after getting fired from the Dolphins. And I'll be honest, I defended Gase, saying, "Oh well, he didn't have a lot to work with the Dolphins." Now I see, yeah, he's terrible. He's a terrible coach.
Yeah. I am one of the biggest Adam Gase haters you'll ever see. I'm not even a Jets fan. I hate that guy. I can only imagine what it's like to be a Jets fan right now. But do you think he's going to get traded? And if he does get traded, where's he going? Because that's the big question. Where is the best
Well,
safety
all
in the
right.
league going?
Okay, so according to Ian Rappaport, Jamal Adams told the general manager of the Jets, he obviously would like to get traded, but the teams that he would welcome a trade to are the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, his hometown team. He was from Dallas, the Eagles, 49ers, Seahawks, and the Texans.
Right.
Now, I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are both great fits. I think they could afford him. But I would love to see Jamal Adams with the Buccaneers. I would absolutely love that. People were talking about their defense last year being one of the top defenses last year. However, there was obviously no defensive backs that you would rate as a top-level defensive back. They had a fantastic D-line. They had fantastic linebackers. The defensive backs are the only thing that was holding them back. If Jamal Adams was leading those DBs, with Tom Brady coming here, then I would get behind them saying they are a Super Bowl contender. And I honestly think they could afford him too.
They could definitely afford him. I think any team is willing to give a first-round pick for the best safety in the league, in my opinion. So it's it's like who wouldn't take that? But I did see a video the other day. This guy saw Jamal Adams driving, I guess in New Jersey or New York somewhere, and he said, "You come to Dallas?" He said, "I'm trying
to."
So I guess he wants to go to Dallas, but does Dallas want him is the big question. Obviously, they want him. But
I would think they want him because when I first saw this, I was thinking, well, why would they want? They just signed Clinton Dix, and then I was like, well, at the same time, you can move one or the other to free safety and other safety because I don't know, just a place like the Cowboys, I think they could potentially afford to pay him if he wanted to stay there long term because the whole Dak situation. We'll get into that later today.
oh yeah.
But just a team like the Cowboys, I could see him wanting to go there. But man, just every single time I think of him with the Buccaneers, I love the fit. And the Buccaneers have everything he wants. He wants to get paid and he wants to win. And the Buccaneers are going to win a lot of games this year.
They got it. I think they could definitely get it done. It's just who's going to put up the best price. I actually, if I had to predict it, I don't think he's getting traded at all. I don't think I think the Jets are going to say, give me like 2 first-round picks, and the team's going to be like, no. So they're going to tell Jamal Adams, hey, we can't trade for you because nobody's giving us the price that you are, you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So let's work out this deal. They're going to work out some deal. Adam Gase is going to get fired at the end of next season.
I think he is too.
I don't know why that the Jets didn't fire him after this season. I would have fired him after they lost to Miami and gave them their first win.
I can see why they kept him around though, only because he could say, well, I mean, all the plays that I wanted to do, I had to work with a third-string quarterback in Nick Folk too.
Yeah, but he had Sam Darnold for enough time to do that.
Yeah,
he still had training camp, OTAs, everything. So, I mean, that's fair though. But, I mean, he's a coordinator. He's not a coach. I think we know that, especially after last season. Yeah, they had a late season surge, but the Jets do that every year. It doesn't matter who's coaching them. So it doesn't really matter there. But the thing with Dallas, my problem with them, they haven't drafted a safety in the first 2 rounds since 2002.
Oh, God.
They don't like safety. The Cowboys don't like safeties. They don't like paying high prices. They don't like going after safeties. It's
Uh-huh.
not their thing. It's never been a thing Jerry Jones has done. The Cowboys they've had Deion Sanders before, but they haven't really had a great safety in their history that I can really think of off the top of my head. So I don't know if the Dallas Cowboys are going to want him. The main fit, it's the more popular fit I saw was Philadelphia. They just lost Malcolm Jenkins. They have one of the softest defensive back groups in the entire league. It's been the biggest complaint of Eagles fans. The receiving core and the defensive back core. Everything else is fine for Eagles fans. So, I mean, I think I think any team's willing to give a first-round pick, especially a late-round pick like the Eagles or the Seahawks even. They're going to be willing to give up first-round pick, but it's a problem of what player are you going to add into that? Or are you just going to add more picks?
Yeah.
Maybe the Seahawks could trade Chris Carson. I mean, he's been hurt a lot. They haven't had too much, unsuccessfulness, if that's a word, at the running back position besides him. So maybe Chris Carson gets on the move to New York. But there's the Eagles and the Seahawks are my two teams right now that I think are most likely to end up getting Jamal.
When I look at what the Jets would want for Jamal Adams, obviously there's no question they're going to want a first-round pick, maybe even two. But when it comes to, like, players, I don't really see them going after running backs. Maybe a team that's, like, heavily loaded on, like, wide receivers. That's why I saw a mock trade a few days ago where it was like if the Cowboys were to trade for Jamal Adams, they would offer a first-round pick and maybe a guy like Michael Gallup.
I can see that, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They just drafted CeeDee Lamb. The three receivers, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's three, like, we have Amari Cooper, who's already a star, and you got two really young guys who can become similar caliber players. So it's interesting. Dallas is really interesting. It's just, I don't know if Jerry's going to be willing to give up that first-round pick. Maybe a third and some other future picks, but the Jets are going to want a first-round pick. I know that. So it's just going to be interesting to see. It's weird.
Well, staying on topic with the Cowboys at least, let's take a look at Dak Prescott. He recently just signed his $31.4 million franchise tag tender.
Got paid.
Yeah, he got paid, but
that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to sign it.
He's not getting really what he wanted here, because this is just what I don't understand about Dak Prescott. The Cowboys offered him a 5-year, $175 million contract. He'll become the highest paid quarterback of all time, let alone he was a fourth-round quarterback, and he said no.
I don't know how you can say no to that. You have a long-term deal.
He said no.
He said no to $40 million. I can't imagine saying no to $40 million to do anything. That's how much more do you want? I don't. You're not going to get 50. Patrick Mahomes is going to get 50 million. Russell Wilson isn't going to get 50 million. I mean, he might. I don't know. But Dak isn't. I saw someone who thinks he's Patrick Wilson or something. I think this might have been a thing. I think he wanted the franchise tag to get that big money, 1 year cash out, and then sign some $30 million, $25 million deal later. He got paid now. And now he can work out a long-term deal. It's like a Kirk Cousins maneuver that we saw. He took 2 franchise tags with the Redskins.
Oh yeah.
And Kirk Cousins' agent is the greatest agent of all time. You get 2 franchise tags, $84 million guaranteed, all of it for 3 years in Minnesota. So I think it's going to be something similar to that. You might see Dak Prescott actually get another franchise tag too. So I don't know.
When I look at a team like the Cowboys and seeing what they're dealing with a guy like Dak asking for so much money, what I would just say is the second he starts messing up, 3 interceptions in a game, hasn't thrown a touchdown, whatever, why not just put Andy Dalton in? Because
why signed him?
Exactly. I don't understand how some people are looking at this and saying, well, oh my God, Andy Dalton is better than Dak. And that's debatable. But the fact that these conversations are coming out, you got to wonder, what if Andy Dalton comes in? Because nobody thought Ryan Tannehill could possibly ever take over Marcus Mariota's spot. And now he's getting – now he won Comeback Player of the Year because he was amazing.
And he got paid $84 million for 4 years last season. He threw 8. I think he had 8 completions, 9 completions against the Ravens in the playoffs, and he's getting paid $84 million. I mean, whatever works, whatever wins you games, right?
You know why I think Dak may have signed the franchise tag?
Why?
I think it has a lot to do with him seeing what Cam Newton is going through right now. Because
Could be.
let's just say, for example, okay, Dak's not happy in Dallas. He's not getting paid what he wants in Dallas. Dak is not stupid. He realizes right now in this moment in free agency, all of the other starting quarterback jobs are filled. You're not going to find a job. You're not.
No.
And if you can make the argument that, oh, maybe he can wind up with the Patriots. If the Patriots wanted a quarterback, they would have signed Cam Newton. They would have signed Cam.
They would have had Jameis Winston by now.
Or they would have had Jameis Winston by now. Exactly. So I think Dak just kind of had no choice but to sign the franchise tag because he didn't want to end up on the open market and then sign with a team and be a backup and get paid less, where he could have been paid probably that exact amount, maybe even more, and still keep his starting job.
And also, he wants that $40 billion deal. You're not going to get that anywhere else besides Dallas. No one has the cap room, and no one is paying Dak Prescott that much money, especially like the quarterback market is flooded. It's becoming like the running back market where you can just get a new quarterback every few years and he'll do the job. Obviously, you're not going to get Tom Brady every 5 years, but it's really weird. But the biggest thing with Dak Prescott is, can he win the Cowboys a Super Bowl? Because if he can, you sign him to however much money he wants.
He's obviously surrounded by talent.
Yeah, and
Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Gallup.
Yeah, you can't forget 4 years ago, this team was an Aaron Rodgers miracle drive away from the NFC Championship game playing the Falcons. They could have made the Super Bowl 4 years ago. I know that's 4 years ago. They've lost a lot of players since, but they have a lot of that core. And if that offensive line gets better, that secondary gets better, back to and they play where they can play, and new coach in Mike McCarthy, they might have to pay Dak Prescott because they have a larger window potentially to win a championship, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. And I don't think you get better than Dak Prescott in a lot of places. I know you say Dak Prescott, people say Dak Prescott's average, he's inconsistent, he's whatever, but I think he's pretty consistent, actually. He's one of the more consistent quarterbacks. Yeah. I just don't see a lot of other places where you can get a guy like Dak Prescott. And in that situation, you pay him, but he's just asking for too much money at this point.
You want to get into the next topic?
We can, if you want to. Great transition, boys. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Cowboys, they're doing their thing. But there's a lot of contract issues going on. Jamal Adams, Dak Prescott, the latest one, the biggest mystery of free agency, Jadeveon Clowney. Turning down a 1-year, $15 million deal from the Seahawks, turning down an $18 million deal from the Browns. I can't blame him, but he did it. There's a lot of teams interested. The Giants said they won't pursue him. The Jets said, it's unlikely. But he wants a long-term, around $16 million deal, and teams aren't willing to pay him. They want to give him a 1-year contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to pay it. So where is he going to go if he goes anywhere, honestly?
Well, I thought of, Jadeveon Clowney, first of all, he's 27 years old. It's not like he's old, not like he's age. And also people forget he was the number 1 overall pick. And he's not a bust. He's not. He's a great defensive end.
Definitely not.
2 years prior to him being with the Seahawks, he was recording 9 sacks a year. But I don't understand how Jadeveon Clowney could be kind of confused as to why he's not getting the offers he's looking for. With the Seahawks, a great team, a great defense, he had 3 sacks, 1 interception, and 31 tackles. That was it.
Only started 11 games, I believe it was, too.
Yeah, but still, just 31 tackles and 3 sacks. Like, I don't see how a guy with those kind of numbers would be asking for that kind of money.
Yeah, you can get that production at the 3rd round of the draft. That's the
thing. Exactly. So when you talk about he turned down the Seahawks offer, he turned down the Browns offer. I kind of would like to see how things would go for him in Tennessee with the Titans. Seeing how they just traded Jarrell Casey because he's 30 years old and they didn't want to pay him. They sent him off to the Broncos. And now there's basically an open spot for the Titans and defensive ends. And, prior to all this talk, I thought he'd be a great fit for a team like the Jets or the Giants. But putting my bias aside, being that, I'm sort of a Giants fan, but
Right.
I love the fit with the Titans, and I do think they could afford him. So, and yeah, if Jadeveon Clowney's situation is that he wants to get paid, he wants to win, just like Jamal Adams, I don't see why he would ever turn down an offer like the Titans. And a 1-year contract, it's not bad. It's really a 1 year is just to see where he's at right now in his production.
If he's as good as he thinks he is, he's going to prove it in that 1 year deal. So I would.
I'm not gonna sign you to a 4-year deal and you put up the same numbers you did in Seattle, or you get injured like you did in Seattle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think these 1-year contracts, you're just gonna keep piling up. At the best, you might get a 2-year, but I don't think you're gonna find anything better than what the Seahawks or the Browns were offering you.
There's really not. A 1-year deal isn't a bad thing, especially if you think that you deserve a 4-year deal. I don't think you would have a problem signing a 1-year deal and proving yourself, unless if he knows, hey, I might not have a lot of playing left of this caliber. Let me get my money now. I think that's what he's trying to do. The Browns offered a 1-year, $18 million deal. I don't know why he didn't take it, because the Browns, I mean, the Browns have the history of the cursed franchise, whatever. He can, but they're a developing team. Adding Jadeveon Clowney to a line with Myles Garrett, that is the best defensive line of the NFL.
That's disgusting.
Without a doubt. So it's I don't know how you can handle that. It's perfect for Baker Mayfield. It's perfect for everything. The Browns would contend for the division at that point if they aren't already. He's probably just not worried about winning. He just, a lot of guys want to get their money, which is nothing wrong with that, for sure.
Yeah.
But, it's just a weird situation, because you saw Devontae Freeman in a similar spot. Obviously, his production's fallen off, like Jadeveon Clowney. Devontae Freeman said, I'm going to take a year off and rest my body and try to get a better deal going forward. I think Jadeveon Clowney is going to get pushed to the point where he's going to have to make that same decision. He's going to take the year off, and the team might sign him. Who knows?
I wouldn't necessarily agree that he would take a year off. I do think he will get signed. He's going to sign probably maybe close to the preseason, close to when tryouts are going to, training and everything's going to be open up again. I feel like he will end up signing with a team. It's just, first of all, I just think Jadeveon Clowney is being very patient right now, just trying to find the best offer. But I don't think he realizes that the more he waits, more teams are more likely to just pull their offer.
Yeah. Or sign a guy that will replace you.
I just say take an offer now and stay with this team for 1 year, prove that you still have, the level of production you did 2 years ago, and you'll find a bigger contract. It's not impossible for a guy in their late 20s, early 30s to get a big contract. It's not.
That's their prime. That's your athletic prime, as they say. So you sign a deal at 28, you get a 4-year deal, $70 million. There's nothing bad with that. That's what he wants. It's just, you got to prove that you deserve it. And right now he hasn't proved it with Seattle. He was an absolute game wrecker in the Eagles playoff game. Don't get me wrong. He's been a game wrecker. But he hasn't done that on a game-to-game basis, a week-to-week basis. So we'll see where he goes. I'm not sure. I don't know what team. I mean, you said Tennessee. I don't know if he's going to get signed. If I had to pick one, I think he's going to go back to Seattle. They can afford it. Barely, but they can. But we'll see where that goes. The next thing we wanted to get into, I think we've had enough of Jadeveon Clowney, is there's a lot of guys that haven't been signed, like Jadeveon Clowney. We just talked about him. So who is your guy that hasn't been signed yet, still on the free agent market, that should be signed right now?
So this is not my guy, first off, but okay. I'm looking at what Josh Gordon is going through, seeing how he hopped around from teams last year. He was obviously out of the league because of marijuana possession. Now the NFL is saying that they are not testing for marijuana anymore, and a bunch of these players are signed for reinstatement. They want back into the league. Now, I'm going with a guy who's actually a year younger than Josh Gordon. I'm going with Martavis Bryant.
Good one. Yep.
Former wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. People forget, first of all, he's 28. He was a Pro Bowler. He was a first-team All-Pro. His rookie year, just on 26 catches, he had 8 touchdowns.
He did put up some numbers.
exact like a guy like Martavis, you know, right now he is just like Josh Gordon, just like I'm sure a bunch of other players, he is applying for reinstatement. He wants back into the NFL. And back to when we were talking about Jadeveon Clowney, it's not hard to give this guy maybe a 1-year deal, just see where he's at in his career, where he's at in production. A team that I think could use him. Why not sign him with the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah.
A guy, Green Bay Packers fans were frustrated with Matt LaFleur and the GM that they did not take a wide receiver in the draft.
That was fun on Twitter, I'll say.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Oh,
I think the only move they made was signing Devin Funchess.
Yeah, that's all they made the offseason. That was pre-draft, too.
And they lost Geronimo Allison to the Lions. And guys like Valdez-Scantling and Devin Funchess, they're good receivers, but I wouldn't look at either of them as like a solid 2. A guy like Martavis Bryant, a guy who has experience, a guy who has made a Pro Bowl, I think would have a lot of fun with a guy like Aaron Rodgers throwing him.
He would for sure. I had another guy in mind, but the receiver talk brought somebody else in my head. Antonio Brown. I know it's yeah. That's not my guy. It's just an idea I wanted to bring up because
okay.
Obviously Antonio Brown, when he was playing, when he was sane, was a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Arguably top 3, arguably the best receiver in the NFL. Okay. He's had his issues, I saw one thing, he almost got, a lengthy prison sentence for something, but he hasn't been doing anything in a while. I haven't heard his name in tabloids or news or anything. He's been kind of under the radar. So I don't know if it's just people are tired of reporting on him or if he's dealing with something else right now. But he's a talent that's hard to not pick up somewhere, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So if a team like the Packers doesn't want to sign Martavis Bryant or Josh Gordon, they can put Davante Adams next to Antonio Brown for a very cheap deal. That's something to at least dream about. I don't think he's gonna get signed. I don't think it's gonna happen. But Davante Adams and Antonio Brown is a 1 and 2 receiver. That is insane to think about. If Antonio Brown's back to what he's playing before, they're contenders at that point.
It would. I honestly think it would be a miracle if a guy like Antonio Brown got re-signed to the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
But hell, it's still Antonio Brown. He's a game changer wherever he may go.
And, my actual guy that I wanted to bring up. It's the obvious one. It's Cam Newton. He hasn't been signed yet. I know he's had his shoulder issues. I know he's had his injury history, and they haven't been able to do actual physicals because of the pandemic going on. But Cam Newton was an MVP in 2015, took his team to a 15-1 record and made a Super Bowl. You can't get that, that kind of experience in the draft. You can't get that kind of experience in free agency right now. Mm-hmm. I know he wants money. I know he wants to play. But if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you have Gardner Minshew, right? We don't know what he can do. We don't know if he's a starter caliber player. We don't know if he's a backup that just had a few Ryan Fitzpatrick games. But Cam Newton in Jacksonville or New England even would be a fantastic fit. They need a quarter. New England even. I don't know what New England's doing. If they're going to start Jarrett Stidham, I don't know what they're doing. You sign Cam Newton. You take a risk on his shoulder. See what happens. I think Cam Newton should take a year off. He needs a year off somewhere. In Jacksonville, they can give him a year off because they want to see what Gardner Minshew could do. They can let him sit, at least for half the season, maybe even. And we'll see if Cam Newton can get back to MVP form. That's what I think about Cam Newton.
I will say it was very sad watching his last few games with the Panthers early on that season because he did not look the same. You could tell that shoulder was ruining him.
It's bad.
I believe it was a game against the Bucks. It was like on Thursday Night Football. He played absolutely terrible.
He didn't look like Cam Newton at the end of the season this year. But we all know why. It's his shoulder. And he's had time off. If you've seen – I know workout videos and stuff are –
he looks healthy.
He looks fine.
He looks great.
He was throwing a giant medicine ball at a wall, and his shoulder looked absolutely perfect. I don't think he's 100%. I mean, it's not hard to chuck a medicine ball like that, but when you're Cam Newton, but it's it's getting better. Obviously, he had surgery finally for it.
Yeah.
You give him a year off. You sign him to a 2-year cheap deal. You let him sit. You let his shoulder heal up. You have a top 15 quarterback like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think it's a risk Jacksonville or New England should be willing to take. It's something to think about for sure. But he might sit for a year in the free agent market, which is probably better for him. But it's surprising to see that nobody really has any interest in him.
Well, I mean, we hope the best for both our guys.
For sure.
I'm sure hopefully one day they do find a home, an NFL team, a team that will take a chance on them with like a 1-year, 2-year contract. But if the NFL season were to start and finish and everything, who do you see winning MVP? Who do you think can come out on the top of the year 2021?
I think it's pretty easy. It's the best quarterback in football, Patrick Mahomes. He was injured for a lot of – he missed a few games, but he also played like 3 or 4 games with a bad ankle, and he still threw 29 touchdowns or, whatever it was, 26 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He was still a top 3 quarterback with an injured ankle. So you give Pat – he still threw 4,000 yards. He was in the MVP talk, injured for part of the season. So you give Patrick Mahomes 15, 16 games, he'll throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. That's an MVP easily. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. He's the most talented quarterback I have ever seen in my life. His arm, he is like next to Aaron Rodgers, he is the greatest arm talent I've ever seen. I don't think anyone can deny that. He will win MVP. He'll bounce back, and I might have to pick the Chiefs for the Super Bowl again. He won a Super Bowl on a bad ankle. God, who is this guy? He's the best quarterback in football by far. Lamar Jackson, I think teams have a year to figure him out. Defenses are going to be able to adjust to his legs and how he can move outside and inside the pocket. He got figured out in the playoffs. And you have a year of film to figure him out in the regular season. Russell Wilson is another guy I think is going to be a candidate. Same for the candidates. I think they're going to happen again. Patrick Mahomes is and always will be a better player than Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson gives me this Drew Brees kind of vibe of being really close to an MVP player, but never being able to actually win the award. I don't think he's won it before, too.
That's so sad.
It is, we obviously know how good Russell Wilson is. We know how good Drew Brees is. It's the same situation. Mm-hmm. But, Drew Brees played with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Russell Wilson's going to play with both of those guys, and now Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. So it's going to be hard. I don't think it's hard to see who's going to win MVP. It's going to be hard for Russell Wilson to win one, but Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in football, is going to be the MVP. I don't think it's going to be close if he stays healthy.
I do think Patrick Mahomes is a top candidate to win MVP, but my guy's a little, I'm not sure.
Non-quarterback then.
It is a quarterback.
Okay.
Little older. I'm going with Tom Brady.
Oh boy.
To win MVP.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
I'll hear you out on this.
Tom Brady, with what everybody was calling absolutely no help last year, he had Julian Edelman, who had 100 catches. You know who had the second most catches, a wide receiver with the New England Patriots?
Who?
Philip Dorsett with 29 catches. 29 to 100. Just think of that drop. Because he was the only help he had.
It was just dumped off the whole time.
Tom Brady with basically no help. Julian Edelman. I guess you could say James White. He had 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Now, put him on a new team with a guy who I think is a much better, stronger, faster Julian Edelman and Chris Godwin. Oh, yeah, and let's just add Mike Evans there and Gronkowski and a much better offensive line and a much better defense.
For sure.
I'm telling you right now, people are sleeping on him. People are talking about this is a nice fairy tale ending that he's gonna try to prove Belichick wrong. He's just worried about a Super Bowl. I'm telling you, if this team blows up with the receivers that he's throwing to and the offensive line that's protecting him, and when he's sitting down on the bench, the defense that the other team has to go up against, I'm telling you, man, Tom Brady is a great candidate to win MVP. I think he's not getting enough credit because everyone think, oh, he's older now. He's a lot, you obviously saw a little bit of a drop off last year. But I will say, yeah, he didn't really have much to work with last year other than Julian Edelman and a few rookie wide receivers who didn't really know what they were doing when you looked them on the field. Guys like Jacoby Myers, guys like N'Keal Harry. Obviously, we didn't see him later on until season, but still, I think Tom Brady, he's gonna turn some heads next year.
It's interesting. I wonder what his Vegas odds are. It's probably actually pretty low now that I think about it.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's the best quarterback of all time. It's obvious. Okay.
Yeah.
We all know it. He has all the talent. He has all the quarterback skills in the world. I just don't think his arm is there anymore. You saw it with I think he's still a great quarterback. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But being able to put the ball in every spot, I don't know if he has that deep ball arm strength that a Mike Evans needs, that a Chris Godwin needs, maybe. Well, Chris Godwin, he can run the slant. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they can run every route, but Mike Evans is best when you throw it up to him.
Chris Godwin is going to be a fantasy god this year. I guarantee you that right now.
He might go in the first round, but that's I don't know. But Tom Brady, you saw it last year in New England. Even with the terrible receiving core he had, he's throwing a lot of these passes short. He's not as accurate as he used to be. That comes with age. He's, in his 40s now, which is weird to think about. But he's up there. He's old. Now, a much better team, obviously. He is, you mentioned the defense. You mentioned the receiving core. Rob Gronkowski, the best tight end of all time, in my opinion. But it comes down, when it comes to MVP, it comes down to your team winning and how you play as a player and the numbers you put up. I don't even think the Buccaneers are going to win their division next year. I think they'll make the playoffs they'll be the number one wild card team, I think. But if the Chiefs end up going 12-4 or 13-3, and the Buccaneers go 10-6, and Patrick Mahomes has similar numbers to Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes is going to win MVP. That's just how it is. But I do agree that Tom Brady is a good candidate for MVP. He's always going to be up there. He's always going to be good like that. I just don't know if he has MVP left in the tank. I think he has Super Bowl left in the tank. I think he has playoff Brady left in the tank. I just don't know if he has MVP of the regular season, Tom Brady.
How crazy would it be if next year's Super Bowl it's Chiefs and Bucks?
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be an amazing Super Bowl.
I think that would be the GOAT passing it down to the next GOAT.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be so
cool.
That'd
be a great game. That'd be a great game. You know what? I might just make it my prediction next year. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Make that your prediction?
Why not? Because it's fun. But you know what? I think we've talked enough football for now. Right?
All right.
We covered all bases.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to basketball. The NBA. They're going to start up on July 31st. Maybe. We'll see. It's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. The state, they're going to play in Orlando. That's the plan right now. But Florida had 5,500 cases of the virus yesterday. I haven't seen today's numbers, but that's part of an upward trend, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's 6,000 today, right? It's hard to see if the NBA is going to even come back to Orlando because it's not 5,000 going down. It's 5,000 going up steeply. Yes. That's the main problem. So my question to you and to myself, will we have NBA basketball this year?
I'm going to be honest. For me, the coronavirus is not even a concern when it comes to the NBA returning. For me, I feel like it comes down to, do the players want to return? Like, not just, the corporate NBA, do they want to return? It all comes down to the players. If you find guys, 5, 6 guys, because it's not just the coronavirus. You also have the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
Guys like Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, they're, DeMarcus Cousins, Kyrie Irving. they all said they're not playing because they don't want to move attention away from what they are trying to accomplish here.
I don't
with
think
the
Kyrie
Bucks.
was official. I think he said he's thinking about it. He hasn't officially made the statement that he's not
Oh, he
playing. I'm
wasn't?
pretty sure. He made a lot of statements about it, but I don't think he officially said I'm back. But he's very possible he won't play. That's the main thing.
I don't think it would have mattered anyway. I feel like wasn't he out for the season?
He was hurt. He was hurt at some point.
He heard something, but
they might just tell him, "Hey, sit down. I don't care if you're healthy." I probably would.
But yeah, who's to say that these aren't the only four? These are the only four players that actually spoke out about this. There could be much of other players that just don't want to play. There are other because we talked about it yesterday. Not even that. Look at guys like Marc Gasol, Nikola Jokic. These guys lost insane amount of weight because of quarantine. Quarantine has affected a lot of guys. So when it comes down to will the NBA return, I think it will. I do think it will because I don't think the state of Florida is exactly what they should be concerned about because their whole purpose was that they wanted to build a bubble. That's what they were saying. They want to build a bubble. They don't not necessarily the entire state has to be like, in the green, they're ready to go back to how life used to be. They just want a little area where they can have a few courts and play basketball. Now, if in this bubble, a guy or two becomes positive with the coronavirus, then the season's over. The season's over. Everybody's leaving. I think everybody's going back.
I'm not sure necessarily, actually.
You're not sure?
That's my biggest issue. Because you see, okay, my big thing. The MLS is coming back. I don't know if you care about Major League Soccer. Not a lot of people do. But it matters now.
I did not know that.
They're having a tournament. It's on July 8th, I believe. That's when the games start, right? But they're heading down to Florida in 2 days. They're heading down to Florida on July 27th. But some teams are, starting their 14-day quarantine period.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few guys on Orlando that had it. There was a few guys on a few teams that were positive, right? If you go down to Florida and half your team is gone, half your team is missing, right? Because they are positive, whether they're asymptomatic, whether they're whatever. If they're positive, they're not going to play. Okay, they're getting tested every day, every other day. How do you play with half your roster potentially gone? But
that is a problem.
Because they're not going to shut it. They're not going to shut it down for one case, unless if it's LeBron for the NBA, right? Because if bench player number 7 on Orlando FC gets tests positive, they're going to try to keep going. They're not because it's going to happen. Someone's going to test positive. It's going to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts because they're not holding the employees to the same standard at Disney and everything. They're not testing the employees every single day. They're not, doing the same bubble. It's going to be a bubble, but it's almost impossible to create the actual bubble that you're wanting here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the biggest issue is asymptomatic spread right now. It's a tough subject because
I kind of meant it on a point where, like, let's say these guys, they're not playing anymore. Let's say they're in the hotels. Okay, they're in their hotels or whatever. If you wake up the next morning, you find out one of the players that were in the same hotel that you were, they tested positive all of a sudden in that bubble. I don't see how the other players are going to be like, well, let's go to practice. Like, no, they're going to want to leave. They're going to want to get out of there and go home.
They're going to want to, but then you can't leave. You can't go home. Because if you live in New Jersey now, you're seeing New Jersey, New York, a lot of, I think Connecticut too, tri-state area. You have to quarantine yourself for 14 days before coming back to Jersey. So you would actually be stuck in Florida. It's the weird thing. So the NBA might say, hey, okay, we're going to get this player out of here. We're going to move him to wherever. We're going to test all of you right now. Whoever tests positive, get the heck out of here. If you test negative, you can play. And that's not wrong. I mean, you can, it's not a guarantee. If you are within if you're within the vicinity of that player who's positive, you're not guaranteed to get it. You probably will. But it's very possible that there's just a lone guy on the Magic that gets it on, whatever team, but you'll have no guys for the Lakers. So that's also the bigger thing. If you have half the Lakers roster gets it, but nobody on the Celtics has it, and that's the NBA Finals. The Celtics are going to win the championship.
They're going to destroy them.
Right. So how legitimate is this championship, depending on what happens? That's another. There's so much that you can unpack there, but our question is it going to happen? I think they're going to start, but I don't think it's going to finish.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to be careful because, yeah, I do believe it will happen. It's just when it comes to what happens afterwards, I don't know. I honestly don't.
I think that's why I'm looking at the MLS a lot, because they're going to be the example, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going to be in there 2.5 weeks before the NBA does. Okay. If the MLS is forced to cancel within a week, the NBA is going to say, this isn't going to work. We got to get the heck out of here. We're not doing this, right? I don't care. Disney, cancel everything. The MLS, this is the reason people are going to watch what happens with the MLS. Not going to watch the games. They're going to watch what happens. They're going to find out, is it possible to create a bubble? Is it possible to create an environment where nobody's going to get this thing? And we can play basketball in Orlando, because it's also more likely to happen in Florida because their governor is, doing his thing, saying, hey, go outside, boys. Let's go. And employees are going to go home. They go home. They don't live in this. They don't live in Disney for a month and a half. You can't do that.
Of course.
They could go home and, the person changing LeBron's sheets could have it and give it to LeBron James.
Exactly. Yeah.
If LeBron gets it, you shut the season down. That's what the NBA is going to do that. But I don't know. I don't think it'll happen. You think? I think we think the same thing. It's going to start.
I think we do too.
It won't finish. It's not going to finish, or at least finish in a way that's legitimate when it comes to championships. But as of now, it is happening.
If the NBA, is returning, it stays. It let's just say a miracle happens. It finishes off and everything. Right now, nobody's really looking at the East because let's face it, the East is not as great as the West.
There's also less teams in the East right now that are able to get that 8th seed.
Yeah. So as of right now, the NBA is basically holding a 6-team race to who can get the last playoff seed. These teams are Portland, New Orleans, San Antonio, Sacramento, Phoenix, and Memphis. Memphis currently holds the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Who do you think will come out of, in the playoff picture? They'll be holding the 8th seed at the end of all this.
This is going to be an interesting tournament. Between I think it's 5 teams that are under 500 right now. I think all the teams that you mentioned are under 500 at the moment, which is I don't know.
I think Memphis is the only one that's exactly 500. I think
they're either like a win under, a win over, exactly whatever it is.
Something like that, yeah.
But the problem with not the problem, just the thing with the West is those are still very good teams that are under 500.
Oh yeah, they're fine.
Yeah. But I think it's going to come down. It could come down to 4. There's 4 teams that I really like. That's Portland, Memphis, New Orleans, and the Kings even. I think those 4 teams can win. Yeah. I like the Kings, but I don't think they're going to get it done. I think if somehow, some way, whether it's the refs or whether it's Zion Williamson going off, the Pelicans are going to find their way into the NBA playoffs this season.
Yeesh.
I mean, they're the second best team there. I think the Grizzlies are a better team, but I think at some point, when it comes down to it, the Pelicans will win. Because I believe their schedule is the Kings twice, the Spurs once, and the Grizzlies twice. I think they can sweep the Kings. I don't know if they will. I think they can. They can beat the Spurs. I know you're liking your Spurs.
I am a Spurs fan.
I'm sorry to say, I don't think they're going too far this year.
They're not winning. They're not.
Okay. At least you're honest.
I'm a Spurs fan. They're not even close.
Yeah. I mean, you can't defend it. I mean, but
no.
They can split it with Memphis, but it's hard to say Memphis doesn't go 6-0. It's just kind of whichever one of those teams decides to get hot, whichever team thrives best in that environment. You want to say Portland, but Trevor Ariza's not coming this year, or coming to Orlando. That's he's not the most important player on the team, but he's still a good defender and a great player. Melo's going to get a lot more playing time. He's not that great at defense. I think we can all agree at that. So the Pelicans, with, in my opinion, one of the best young cores in the NBA. They have Zion, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and Jackson Hayes young center that's developing right now. I think they
Insane.
get in. I think they really do get in.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Portland because I actually have Portland coming out of
That was
the
my
East.
second option. All
All right, you want to talk about Trevor Ariza? To me at least, I never really saw him as a difference maker for the Portland Trailblazers.
Great shooter.
Melo, great offensively. Yes, I know his defense is is bad.
It's not there.
Here's what I looked at more. You're getting back a healthy Yusuf Nurkic. He's coming back. And you have Hassan Whiteside, who is currently leading the NBA in blocks per game.
That's a good front court right there.
Not to mention CJ McCollum. Oh, yeah, and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
These guys, I'm telling you, like, obviously they made the playoffs last year. You mentioned New Orleans. I just feel like they're way too young, way too unexperienced, except for maybe Drew Holiday. I could see Drew Holiday, possibly being a core leader of this team. But when I'm thinking of the Zion hype, I'm thinking of more of Zion, not as, he's going to be great for the Pelicans. I just think he's going to have a great career. I don't really see it, working with the Pelicans. This is another story, but I honestly think he's gonna lead the team out of his rookie deal. I don't think he's gonna want to stay there. Anthony Davis did it, but yeah, San Antonio, no. Sacramento, that'd be a good team. It'd be a fun team to see. Memphis, they currently hold it. They could definitely keep. Jaren Jackson is blowing up this year.
He is
as
one
a
of the most
sophomore.
Underrated players in the NBA.
He's so underrated. John Morant, I think he's going to have a great career in Memphis. And Phoenix, I don't really know about Phoenix. I feel like, once again, they started off the season great. Then once the season was about to end, it wasn't too great. Wasn't that good to me. I don't really think a guy like Devin Booker can lead that team into the playoffs this season. I think he can develop into that. But when it comes to this season, I just think Portland just has the more experience. And I think they have the best overall talent when it comes to a team, not just, one player.
They have the best stars. I mean, Damian Lillard is I would argue he's a top 5 point guard right now. He's up there. He's always been one of the most slept on players in the NBA, and people have acknowledged that. CJ McCollum is CJ McCollum. We know what CJ McCollum can do. You mentioned that. You mentioned that front court. I didn't know Hassan Whiteside was the leader in blocks this year.
He is, yeah.
My favorite Hassan Whiteside thing is when he got triple double with blocks. He said nobody's doing it with blocks, and I'm like, you're right. He's a great shot blocker. And people did forget about Yusuf Nurkic. So it's really coming down to that three: Portland, Memphis, and New Orleans. But Portland hasn't played that well. They haven't had the record. I know Nurkic not playing as much has been a part of that, but so Zion wasn't there either. It's you don't have. I'm not gonna say your best player yet. He's only played a few games.
Mm-hmm.
But if Zion's there from day one, they're at least similar. They have at least a similar record to Memphis right now. We'll see what happens with them.
We'll see. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Like
it's gonna be a dogfight for sure.
Yeah. When it comes out to those three teams, Memphis, New Orleans, and Portland, I think it's up for grabs for any of them to grab it.
Yeah.
But, like you said, as of right now, the NBA is coming back. If the season ends, playoffs are done, championships won, people like to talk about the Clippers, the Lakers, the Bucks, hell, even the Raptors, because, they won a championship last year and they've been blowing up still.
Yeah.
Who do you think is a team that's not getting enough praise that you think could make a championship run, the dark horse, as I put it?
I actually have one for each conference now that I think about it. I had one, but I just thought of another one actually. My first one, I'm a Celtics fan, but the Boston Celtics have been under the radar for a lot of the season. Jason Tatum is one of the best young players in the NBA. Jaylen Brown is one of the not better defenders. He's a great defender. And they don't miss a beat when they take him out for Marcus Smart, because Marcus Smart is as good of a defender. Kemba Walker is still cardiac Kemba. He's scoring at a great rate. They play small, which is today's NBA. They shoot really well. They play amazing defense. It's hard to think that they won't at least make a run in the Eastern Conference. I mean, is it non-conference this year, or is it conference based? I'm not actually too sure.
It's conference based.
It's conference based. Okay, I wasn't too sure about that.
It is.
They everybody made it that clear, but I mean, if it's Milwaukee's the only team that's really a threat to Boston. I think they can handle the Raptors. Who's going to handle Giannis Antetokounmpo? I don't know if anyone can, but defense is a team game. Basketball is a team game. You can slow him down with Daniel Tice. Probably not, but he can, if you get some help defense, you do your thing, hack a Giannis, I don't know, figure out a way to do it. But the other team comes out of the West, right? Everybody talks about the Lakers and the Clippers. Some even talk about the Nuggets. I don't know. The Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic.
I was going to say them.
Yeah, they've been a great team all year. I don't think people will talk about how good Luka Doncic is, how good – I mean, the Mavericks are great. But the absolute turnaround that team had after drafting Luka Doncic, especially this year, I don't – people haven't, processed it. Luka Doncic is a top 10 player in the NBA right now.
He is.
You can argue he's a top – I would say top, 7, top 8 player in the NBA right now. And he's so young. He just started. Right, this is his second year in the NBA, I believe.
He just turned 20.
He just turned 20.
He just turned 20.
And all my Celtics fans are talking about Jason Tatum being 19 back then. He's better than Jason Tatum was when he was 20.
Oh, my God.
So, the Mavericks, I know it's early in his career, but you see the Lakers. Avery Bradley's not playing. Dwight Howard might not play. If in a perfect world, nobody gets the virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the Lakers are down. It could be Mavericks Clippers, honestly. If the Clippers end up beating the Lakers in the second round and the Clippers find a way to win. If you see a Mavericks Lakers or Mavericks Clippers conference championship, I might pick the Mavericks there.
It's hard to argue.
It's hard to argue Dallas right now. They have the shooting in Seth Curry. Oh yeah, there's this guy named Kristaps Porzingis, by the way.
Oh yeah,
one of the best power forwards in the NBA. I don't know if you know.
Forgot to mention him.
I think people forgot he existed. He's one of the better shot blockers in the NBA. I mean, it's hard to argue them. It's hard to argue that they won't do it.
Well, I was going to pick Dallas, honestly. I really was, because of course I love Luka Doncic. I love Porzingis. I think the two of them together are amazing duo. Yeah. But being that I'm a Spurs fan, I do not like this team.
Oh, come on. Take the bias out.
No. I do not like this team I'm about to name.
Okay.
But I will say I don't think this team gets enough credit that they can literally make a championship run. And that's the Miami Heat.
Okay.
Look at guys in their first year starting: Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and Kendrick Nunn. These guys in the beginning of the year were blowing up the NBA. They were absolutely insane. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I was seeing, that it just looked so easy for them just to shoot.
Yeah.
It was insane to me just watching them. They were an incredibly fun team to watch. They were, based on what they were last year, they made the ultimate turnaround. I think right now they're ranked the 4th seed.
Something like 4 or 5, I think. Yeah.
Not to mention, you got Jimmy Butler leading the charge of this team. And you got a potential candidate for most improved player of the year in Bam Adebayo, who, I know it doesn't really matter, but he won the skills challenge in the All-Star break.
Yeah. I think Jason Tatum won a few years ago, so I like that skills challenge. There you go. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take that. But yeah, when I look at the Miami Heat, the only problem I really look at is just that they're not very as experienced as a team, say the Bucks are, or the Clippers or the Lakers. But just looking at how hot they were and how hot they still are, because they haven't really had much of a drop off. I find it very difficult to not see them as a championship contender,
especially in the Eastern Conference. I mean,
especially in the East.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's wide open. It's even with Milwaukee, I think it's wide open, to be honest. But I do like Miami. I will say I like Miami. I kind of forgot about them. Everybody forgets about Miami. I'm one of the people that did. I like them this year. Tyler, they are a great shooting team. Kendrick Nunn has done his thing. Tyler Herro, he's had some ridiculous plays that's happened. He gets some Alex Caruso type hype that's overrating him, but Tyler Herro backs it up too. I mean, he does his thing. And Duncan Robinson, I don't think people just don't. I think Tyler Herro, his popularity is like outshining how good Duncan Robinson is. It's an interesting dynamic. And Bam Adebayo, another very underrated player in the NBA. So I do like that pick. I think that they will at least win a playoff series. I don't know if that team in specific can get past Milwaukee though. I don't know. We'll see.
It is something to see.
Yeah.
I believe that wraps it up for us, doesn't it?
I think that that's everything we want to get through. Do you have any last takes? Any last hot takes before you end the show? What do you want? Any takeaways?
I guess when it just comes to the NBA, yeah, I mean, we all hope it will start. We all hope it goes perfectly as Adam Silver is trying to make it. But I don't know. It's just one of the biggest mysteries to me because it's one thing, I want it to happen. As a fan, I want it to happen. I'm sure the players want it to happen too. But with everything going on, the coronavirus, the Black Lives Matter movement, all the protests, I don't know. It's just something to think about. Where obviously, as of right now, yes, you could see it starting, but will it finish? It's a mystery to me.
It's interesting. I don't know what happened to my hair, but we'll just rock with it.
Whatever.
Yeah. I think you kind of summed it up pretty well. That's really it. I'll say something for football. I mean,
good.
If football happens, I want football to happen, right? I just need one of college football or NFL. It'll happen. The NBA happening it will be an indicator for the NFL happening. It's going to be a chain reaction. I said the thing with the MLS and the NBA. The NBA, if the NBA goes wrong, I think the NFL and college football are going to be hesitant to continue. But we'll see where it goes. It's a lot of what ifs and maybes and what if this happens. So we just got to wait and see. It's going to be exciting no matter what. Hopefully it turns out for the best. That's all we got. I think that'll wrap it up for us, right?
That will.
All right. Thank you for watching or listening. I'm John. That's Joel. We're on the break. We'll see you later.
See you guys.